Let's party. Good morning. What's going on? There's no one here. There's one here. Whoever's here, you're a true one. You're a real one. Man, this weather in the fucking country is crazy. Oh, man. It's Friday, January 10th. What's up, Aaron? Aaron's a real one. Oh, man. First week back felt pretty good. It's always nice to not be behind on work. I was able to just sit. What did I watch last night? I watched the Jerry Springer. Oh, is someone on? That's why. Is there someone on right now? Ugh, lame. Who gets on this early in the morning? It is cold. It's super cold. Super cold. What temperature is it in Pensacola? I'm in Pensacola. Pensacola weather. It is 51. That's just because that storm is coming. So it was like 28 when we got up this morning. Yesterday morning. So oh man. So I figured we'd chat a little bit about the season as we know it so far. I can't imagine there's gonna be any more event announcements. There's not really any competitions that can really pop up because we'll pull up it is cold. Larry, did you get any snow? Can really pop up from like a schedule perspective. Spin put together a really, really great article. I was putting it together for the show and then I was just trying to find all the dates and then Spin had it all laid out. So we're going to use that. Thanks, buddy. Head over to thebarbellspin.com to get all of your CrossFit information. Yeah, it's wild. NCC got announced late. I'm really interested on why they're doing that. Is the thing like what's the what's the number they want to get to? Is my question. I'm just trying to figure out what the gist is and why 18 is the number or 10 events. Maybe it was always 10 events because I think that's what is fully announced. And it seems like they were communicating prior. But they yeah, maybe it just took a while for them to figure it out. From like a logistical perspective, or maybe they just wanted to get to 10 events. My guess is 10, right? 10 feels like a normal number, right? Now the amount of qualifying spots doesn't feel that standardized, right? So there's 18 spots from the in-person qualifying events. And so yeah, I don't know. It's strange. So the only problem with this, I think so Aaron's statement was, I think they're trying to keep number percentage wise of athletes per region, but the only region specific ones are Renegade, Copacer. I think I actually am not 100% on Copacer. Let me see. Mm, it's only the Renegade. Renegade has a specific geographical, and so does TFX and Syndicate, and that's it. Everything else is worldwide. So I don't know if this is the case. Because Far East isn't geographically specific. So, uh-oh, my little man just woke up. I hope he goes back to sleep. Might be a short show today. Wait, we'll let him cry it out just a little bit. Um, anyways, well, I'll share my screen and we'll just go from there. We'll talk about some fitness. There's not much else going on in the world, which is great. I mean, I'd lie. There's a lot going on in the world. The fires are absolutely insane. Uh-oh. Might be really short show today. I think he probably lost his passy. Oh, poor guy. All right. Man, I want that. This thing would be sick to have. Okay. So thanks, Spin. Again, guys, head over to this link. I'll throw it in the comments. Head over there for this article. So thank you, Spin, for giving me show content today. So I agree with this sentiment. The change seems confusing at first, and once you spend more time digesting it, it's not. It's pretty simple, and it's super similar to what it was in the past. We now have 10 events people can compete at. Everyone's complaining that there's no in-person stuff. Well, guess what? Now you only had one chance to compete in person last year and the year before and the year before and the year before, besides the games. Okay. And then 2019, you had lots of chances. Well, now you have lots of chances. Okay. Every event is worldwide except 3 so far. I can imagine Copa Sur is going to be regional specific when they release information. I can imagine that one of the European events is going to be regional specific. Okay. Um, and so I believe that um, overall, this is a much better season structure than it was leading up to this. I think the athletes have more chance to compete. Now, I think the season's going to get really tight, but this is where decisions need to be made, right? Just like any other, um, like very similar to something like golf, where hey, if you can't afford to go to every event, you have to pick and choose if because you're trying to make your name and make your like get your pro card, etc. Then this is the way. So um, this is the article that we're using, guys. Thanks, Spin, again. All right. So it seems confusing at first, but it's not. I agree 100%. There'll be 30 individuals at the CrossFit Games. I'm still kind of wary on it, but 30 is the number so far. The Open starts February 27th and finishes March 17th, it's very similar, almost the same exact dates. In the top 1%, and this is my favorite part of the entire season, is that you have to finish in the top 1% in the Open to be invited to the games, no matter if you do the in affiliate or an in person. And I think that guarantees that all these athletes that want to boycott can't boycott because this is the game they have to play. And I think this is the right thing to do. Um, so you must be in the top 1%. Now you're probably going to be able to compete, but you have to be in the top 1% to actually get the invite to the CrossFit Games, which is very important. So Mayhem is first, April 5th through 6th. This is the only thing that I don't like. I don't think that any of these should be invitation only. I don't think any of them should be. I think that's super unfair, and I think that's going to create a person bias, right? And this is the only one that is. And I think Tyler said it on Barbell Spin that since it's first, it's not that big of a deal. But I think it kind of is. I don't like it. I don't like anyone being able to invite more than maybe, I guess, 5 people, right? I think NCC being the last event, um, you know, I think that might be a little different. It's the first qualifying event because it's happening now, but it's the last in-person event. So I think some logistical stuff and logistical things of like a last chance qualifier sort of feel is fine. I think they're gonna reserve that right. Um, and I think that's a little different, mainly because if you really wanna do it and you know that you're unsure if you're gonna get invited, you're gonna make it, you have to do the qualifier. Um, so I think that's okay, but to be an invite only event, no qualifier at all, I don't know. I'm not jiving with it. I don't like it. Um, and who's to say they don't only invite mayhem athletes, which, that's their right and their thing, but granted that is a ton of people. Okay. Um, Maggie, are you talking about from NorCal Classic? My guess it's actually going to be the in are you talking about if you're talking about NorCal, my guess it's actually going to be um probably a little bit from that. And then they invited old past winners. Um and my guess it's gonna be people that almost made it in other events, would be my guess, too. So it'll be some of that, but it's only oh, mayhem. Um so mayhem is before, so I mean I assume they're going to invite before. It's before it's before the in affiliate semifinal. So that means they're gonna be inviting directly from the open, which I still don't think is a good invite test because top 1% for those athletes is not very hard to make. No, no, it's CrossFit has no decision making power. It's definitely Mayhem invite only. Mayhem is deciding this. If that's how it is. I don't think CrossFit will have a say in who goes at all. Um, because NCC is inviting 15 people. I don't know. I think it's I yeah, I love CrossFit. I love being part of the community. The CF space and game season is a growing dumpster fire. I think I like to think of it more as this like a transition period, right? And um it sounds like there's going to be new leadership in the next year or two, right? And this leadership is so worried about money that it's limiting our ability uh and the ability for CrossFit to operate successfully. I think this is a very good um, potential plan. I was very unsure about it, but I think with 10 events, a lot of opportunity for athletes to compete, right? It's unfortunate that it just came very fast. Now, if all of this information came out in August, we would be thinking differently, like, oh, okay, this is structured. But it does seem like it's all coming together very, very slow or very, very last minute, which is unfortunate. I don't know. And so I'll never say that CrossFit's a dumpster fire. I just can't say it. I just can't. I can't say it. Now, I would say that the actual games potentially going to Albany is more of a dumpster fire than the qualifying process because we've already done this before. People didn't like it. They wanted to go back. We went back. They didn't like it. Um, uh, they didn't like it. That was my alarm for my blood thinners. Thanks everyone who reminded me. Um, uh, they didn't like it, and now we're back to this. And I think this is. I love having a avenue from the open to the games, right? And I love having an avenue from the open to in-person events to the games. I think that is the way, right? I can't say it, Jeff. I just can't do it. I just love CrossFit so much, and I'm just going to continue to support it and find the good in even in bad decisions, you know. But I think this is a good direction. I hope we stick with this. um, I hope we stick with this design for a little bit, even just a couple of years. Like let it work itself out, right? I think it's just more of the change. It's not so much what the changes end up to, it's just the changes that are ever changing, right? And so, Travis Mayer, they were talking about WFP on TCT's podcast, and he said, he's been doing this 12 years or however many years it was. And there's never been a season that's, been the same, right? But if you look at a lot of growing sports, right? Like a lot of the changes were very small, right? From like 2011 to 2018. They were just kind of small, right? It was the same structure the whole time, and then it just sort of went through a, like downsizing from, it just outgrew itself, right? It's our fault. And it was, as far as like putting it on a pedestal of that it should continue growing in this one direction. Um, but I've always said that in-person events are better for the athletes, but they still have to make money. And if no one's going, then we can't have in-person events, right? We can't have nice things if we would treat it like shit. So us as the consumers and the fans, we have to go to the events. If we go to the events, they would have them. If they were profitable, we would have them. Um, Constantly varied seasons for sure. But I hope they stay with this for a little while. I like it. I think this is going to be fun. It's going to give us a lot of media to talk about. I hope CrossFit Media does a good job of trying to cover it. There's obviously 47 events, and it's going to be tough, but I hope that they try, or they bring people in and et cetera. So let's see. Aaron's, I don't think Rich is DEI. He wants to put on a show with the best athletes. Well, you're right, for sure. I don't think he is DEI, but at the same time, it's called the Mayhem Classic. And I can just, you could fill 20 men and 20 women, and it'd be, what is that, like probably 8 to 10 of the top 20 athletes in the world of each sex. So, I mean, it's not far off to think that they won't, you know, um, personally. So, but the invites will probably be coming soon. I can't imagine they're also, and so, uh, someone mentioned Maggie mentioned like just from the open. The only reason I don't think that's the case is because the open ends 2 weeks before this event, right? So I can't imagine they're only going to invite 2 weeks prior. So, um, anyways, okay. Wadland. I'm thinking that Wadland or French Throwdown will end up being European only, since these are the two. I can imagine one of them will be European only. Um, but as I say that, the registration is already open. Registration for Wildland starts today. Um, so maybe it's not. Maybe it's not going to be um, worldwide, which would be very interesting. That Europe is going to have both of them be open, which is cool. TFX, we already know, so they're going to use some of the open, um, uh, some of their current TFX championships winners. Top 33 men on the NA West leaderboard will be invited. I'm assuming this is May. The open, and it's from the open, right? Not even from the in-affiliate semifinal. So this makes the open super, super important. Super important. Now, then the question comes, and I feel like no one's talking about this, is how are they going to define, oh, Oh, it's from last year's to those from last year's North American West region. My question is, how are they going to find um, a regional based thing? Like, are they going to change how you define your location, right? Or is it going to be the same? Is it still going to be the 3 year thing? Um, is my question. I'm trying to figure out. Africa is only for Africa, but Europe isn't for Europeans because the qualifiers are already starting. So, and it doesn't say it anywhere, and they would have already posted that because people are paying money. So, Maggie, I don't think Europe is for Europeans only. At least they haven't said it yet. I want to go to Syndicate. Mm, so they will only invite people that haven't qualified yet, which I really, really like this. This is going to make the race and the storylines much better. Um, uh, tell me why, Evera, but not to beat a dead horse, but getting rid of quarterfinals was a step backwards for who and why. Tell me for who it was a step backwards for and why it was, and then we'll go from there. You want to call in? You can call in. We can talk about it. I'll turn my call in on. Whoa, that's such a big. Why is it so big? There we go. Why is it red? What is happening here? That looks terrible. Oh, Jesus. Can we go black? Hmm. Anyways. Get my Bluetooth. Voila. If you want to call in, we can talk about it. I'd love for anyone to call in. That would be fun. Let's see. I gotta turn my. There we go. All right. Yeah, and so my my thought is, so not to beat a dead horse, but getting rid of the quarterfinals is a step backwards. I think it's a step backwards for, like you said, um, uh, it's for the community, right? And so, but it depends on how long you've been in CrossFit, right? We had a lot of people say, "Oh, this is all I've worked for. Now I have nothing to train for." We didn't have anything to train for um, uh, prior to 2021, anyways, right? We did the open and we would fight on the leaderboard, etc. And that was all we had. It was all we ever had, right? And so, um, so once we gave them the carrot, we took the carrot away, and that's what people are really upset about, right? And it does kind of hinder the community. They're going to try and push this community cup. I think it's I hope it goes well. Um, but I think people did um, um, did like a something to train for. But again, I still think they're training for the same thing, right? There just isn't this prize, right? We princess syndromed everyone, and now they need something to train for that isn't just the open, right? But the open still matters. Top 1%, top 2% for masters, right? And so it's a harder reach, but nonetheless, there is still something to train for. It's just a higher goal. Okay. I do think it's strange as far as the money, right? Like they just left so much money on the table, right? Like a ton of money on the table. I love the 10%, and I think it was a good goal for a lot of people. I do agree. So, um, uh, you know, but at the same time, so then what happens? So then 10% go to the the quarterfinals, right? But how do we manage to get people to the next stage, right? How do we review 30,000? If there's 300,000 people that sign up, 30,000 people make it to the next stage, masters all included, everybody. 30%, 20, 10% from every division, at least 200 people, right? That's what they do. Um, uh, how do we get to the next stage? How do we manage to review the videos and make sure that the um, integrity is upheld to get people to semifinals? That's the problem. That's a huge problem. Okay. And obviously, that was a big problem for a lot of professional athletes. There's no way around it. Now, opening up to the masses with this judging thing that they have gives us more opportunity. But now we're reviewing 1,600 male and female videos, right? So 3,000 instead of 30,000, right? And then another 4,000, not even, it's way less than that. Couple thousand for masters, okay? Um you know, and you just cut it in half, right? You assume half won't do it. So, so now we're only talking a few thousand videos in total. Now we have a lot more people to come in. The team is, the opportunity or the system has changed, and so I think now it's manageable, and then they can get to something that's close to, like fair throughout it, right? So if you drop someone down 20 reps on a workout and they drop 600 spots, you're not going to review the 600 people that were above them. So who's to say that, and so this is the problem. And so I think this has to be where it comes from, in my opinion. Has to be. Um, and I think they're just assuming that it just wasn't the money saved from not doing semifinals in person is way more than the money lost from these signups for quarterfinals. I mean, that obviously that has to be the case, but um, which again is the fans and the consumers' fault. I mean, it's probably CrossFit's fault too, but it's the ability to sell watching the sport. If we can't sell watching the sport, then we have to go online. Pat Vellner can fucking complain all day about, I don't want to compete online. Well, then you need to be a better and more likable athlete so people want to come and watch you train and do fitness. I mean, that's just how it works, right? Like you can complain all you want, but you just can't run competitions to lose money. It's just never going to be the case. Okay. Every competition you've ever done, Aaron's Kong. How about that? We got a caller. Well, let's see if this works. Hello?
Hey, CJ, it's Aaron.
What's up, man?
And so I think there's a way to incorporate both of these ideas without completely separating it. For instance, like making the athletes that want to compete for the game season pay an entry fee at the beginning of the year that's higher than the rest of everybody who's paying for the open. And
Yeah.
then and so like, yeah, you keep the quarterfinals, but the only people that play a factor into like the actual leaderboard that goes to the games is those people. And so everybody can still play in the same field, but everybody else's who's not in that competitive elite games athlete, however we're going to segment them, that we're just differentiating with a separate fee. Those people on the leaderboard don't impact via the review process, where you can just separate which athletes need the review and which athletes were just doing this as a community.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's really loud. Yeah, I feel like we've kind of like gone through that at like that's definitely been an option. And I mean, I think the problem that comes with something like that is a lot of people will pay, right? A lot. Like a lot of people will pay, which is good, but at the same time, I think that can still create this muddy process of being online. Right now, just to be clear, I loved quarterfinals. I thought it was great. It was great for my business. Do you know how awesome it is to we coach masters and we coach a lot of masters that are trying to become RX athletes. Most of them fall into that 25 to 15% range, right? Like the 75th to 85th percentile. So like this is a huge jab at us as a company and like who we coach and like what their thing is. But if this is the challenge point, right? Of like, is the Open a community event or is it the qualifier for the CrossFit Games? And it's both, but we've convinced everyone that it needs to be a qualifier event for the entire thing. Like once we gave quarterfinals, taking it back is going to make everyone feel this way for sure. Right. And that sucks. And so I think they're trying to move it back to what it felt like from 2011 to 2019 or 2020. Um, uh, and so it's just going to hurt for a couple of years. Hopefully they do well with the Community Cup. I'm not super confident on that, but this is how it was indefinitely. How long have you been doing CrossFit, Aaron?
Not that long. September of 22.
Okay.
I've been following it forever, but I
Sure.
started going to an affiliate.
Yeah, and
22.
so the Open was always this huge community event, and everyone was bought in to do it to beat themselves from last year, right? You were broken into some regions, and you did all the things, and so I think they're trying to get back to that point and not have to do all of the secondary stuff, right? And so I loved quarterfinals. I wish they would have stayed around too, but I think treating the
I
Open
agree with you. I feel
Go.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like giving a dog a steak for a couple weeks and then expecting it to eat kibble again.
For sure.
Like I think
Oh,
it's hard to take it back. And I think after a few years, like things will settle down if they can leave it the same and make minor tweaks and not just completely changing everything every year. But
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. I just wish, and I think the like the shock factor just comes from these ripping changes for the last 4 years, right? Like 5 years.
right.
And it's tough. It's just such a hard thing to digest. Um uh and so I think even if it stays with this and we have some consistency for a few years, I think it'll become the norm and people will accept it, right? It just feels like this, and then everything obviously catapulting and exacerbating with the game, like Lazar, etc. All of it feels so inflamed relative to what it might actually be. Because I think this is a very good compromise and way for everyone to make some money, and so we'll see.
I feel like if like the big hang up that I hear like you and other people making is the review process. But if you make the fee to do the elite season, like I don't know what that would be, but even if it's $100, like you're paying for like at the Open, instead of your $20 fee, it's $100 fee. I mean, I think that's going to weed the majority of people out. And if you're getting $100 per athlete to review videos, like it's hard to believe that you couldn't, hire enough people or, I mean, the Hillers of the world and all these other people who love doing this, like bring them in. Like,
yeah, no, for
you
sure.
Like, you don't think him or someone else, similar to him that could do that and weed out.
So then how do you rank them on the leaderboard then? So you have 1,000 people that were
I think it's just the elite field is is on the leaderboard. They're on top of it. If you want to compete with those people, you like your scores. Basically, you're a scaled athlete. It's like elite then RX, and that's just the way they would be on the leaderboard.
Sure. Well, so to push back on that, then I think you would really stunt Open signups at that point, right? Because now they're not really competing because people just want to see the number next to their name, right? And if they have to pay $100, like so say they would have finished 500th in the world, but they didn't pay the $100, so now they're 4,000th in the world or whatever it is, right?
I think you could even display it all on the same page, right? But then like when you're ranking them towards the the qualifying the
Sure.
next stage of the qualifying process, those people are just not, they're not picked up by the algorithm.
Yeah, sure.
Like it could be displayed the same.
Yeah, I
I
feel
don't know.
like CrossFit has had a lot of leaderboard problems in the past. I feel like this would be a nightmare, but
Yeah.
it is a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
it is a good idea. And you know,
I mean, it's a trying to balance making everybody happy, and I don't know. Like I know there's I don't know that it's a big uproar. It's probably 10% of the community that's like, hey, I really enjoyed trying to aim for quarterfinals, and now that's not something to aim for.
oh
Which I
no,
still
it's
feel
up
like
there
you
for
can still
sure.
have that. You can still have that goal of making the 10%, or last year was 25. I don't think that really counts, but that was kind of disappointing when they lowered the standard last year. But
Sure.
you could
Yeah.
you could still have that goal of attaining the 10% with without quarterfinals there, but it still just gave you something to kind of train for.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and again, I think they're trying to fix that with the Community Cup. It just is named funny. Like if they would have just called it something, this is what I said when it first came out. I was like, just call it fucking anything else. Call it like
Right.
the Open Championships or something like that.
Right.
I think people would just be digesting it better. You know what I mean? Instead of the Community Cup. Like no one wants to fucking compete for a community. They want to compete for themselves. And so I think I think the name just kills it. And I really think if it was named something cooler, right? I think people would be more excited about it. Or if it was earlier, like if it was just
Right. I
like
think it's too late in the season. Yeah.
it's a weird position, right? Like put it before the Masters in the, you know, the individual semifinals, like in affiliate semifinal, right? Put it 2 weeks after, right? You know, or even the last week, and it's like a 2 workout thing or something like that. I think people would be more excited for it. So I agree. Well, hey man, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. Thank
All
you.
right, see you. Sick. Callers are always great. That was awesome. Everyone else should call in too. Except Grant. Grant's not allowed to call in. Um Avera. So the in-person regional events seem flawed because who gets invites is not. So some of them are based on the open, right? And you have to be in the top 1%. But these are it's just a different avenue to make it, right? And so you have to make the top 1%. Man, my knee is not happy right now. You have to make the top 1%. And some of them are based. So if we're even just looking at Syndicate Crown, so Syndicate Crown, it will be based on the open, right? Top 20 athletes on the open leaderboard will receive the invite. So to say that, it's not very fair. Some of them aren't. Okay. But some of them are. And um, same thing with Torian. So Torian is going to have the top. It's going to be the 3 open workouts will be part of it, and they will add one more workout via Competition Corner, and then that will be the qualifier, right? NorCal is a solely qualifier based because it's happening right now. So I think that I don't know. I disagree. I think it's fine. I don't think that matters because there are ways to get there. And then you do have your way in your direction to qualify from the open through the in affiliate semifinal all the way to the games. Right. So, like, that is covered. Right. It's just giving them different opportunities to go, but everyone still has to do the open. There's a stipulation here for everyone must be in the top 1%. Okay. Which is pretty easy for them, but it means they still have to do it. I think that's really important. This is the real question. Where is Gus? I can't believe he's not on my. She's probably watching Taylor. Sentinel, that kind of thing. So, let's see. Is he on Sentinels? Nope. I think he's sleeping in. But all you other guys are. I can't believe it. Traitors. Traitors. Just kidding. So, anyways, I think I'm excited for it. It's going to be a lot to talk about. It's going to be fun. Got athletes. There's a lot of strategy that comes in with trying to figure out what to do and how to qualify and what qualifiers to do, etc. And so there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made. And one of the things that I like so far is this stipulation right here, right? So athletes from outside this region will not be able to compete. Meh. Additionally, only athletes who have not qualified will be invited to compete at this event. So if they qualify, so if they're invited, they make it, it sounds like they get their invite removed. Which is cool. I like that. Like syndicate is because it's late. It's one of the later ones. Is um, if you're qualifying somewhere else, you don't get to come, and I like that. So then we're not backfilling to like the ninth position. Um, should the in-person regional events fall outside? So the problem with that statement is the only outs that outside the game season is only 4 months, right? August to early February, right? So um, they're using the open to qualify, right? So I think there's probably something that's going to happen. I think it'll expand itself. It'll expand itself next year, but it can't really there really isn't much outside of the game season at this point, right? Like it's not a long time frame, like no one will do an event that starts in September or October from the games, right? So then you have 4 months, right? Late December, early January, that's not a time to run competition. You won't make any money, okay, during, holiday breaks. So now you have 3 months. So there just isn't a lot of time. Like this game season runs from February to August. That's a long time. It's like fucking baseball. So, um, it's a long time. Ben's question statement, I'm concerned some have regional restrictions and some don't. Each athlete's path to the games will not be equal. Mhm. Um, I mean, I think they're equal. There's still, you have I mean, Africa doesn't count. That's irrelevant. Um, Copa Sur, like I said, will probably, and I don't think that really matters. So the only ones are Syndicate and TFX. Okay. There is another event in the States. So I think that balances out athletes' path to get there. There's two in Europe, right? So you have to be in the East and the West there. They're inviting a ton of people through the open only. So I think that really hammers in the there. And then there's also two events. I know Mayhem's invite only. If Mayhem wasn't invite only, I wouldn't have a problem with this at all. I don't like it. I don't think it should, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to just make sure that their local people go, right? Like that's what they're trying to do. And that's okay. Like that's fine. It's just like a division in football, right? So like think of like the Lions and the Vikings, right? So like the Lions and the Vikings are pretty much, the two best teams in the NFC. Okay. One is 14-2 or 15-2. The other one was 14-3. And the 14-3 team got the wild card. Okay. And so they're going to have a worse flow through the playoffs, right? There are teams that have better records that don't make the playoffs versus teams that have worse records that do make the playoffs because of the way divisions work. So I think divisions are fine. There's going to be strong ones and weak ones. And so um and so to kind of double down on this, Europeans last year had a much harder path to the games. Um uh um so it's funny you just said this. So Gucci, which is one of my athletes, she's Icelandic. Um and so she would have qualified for semifinals in every division except Europe, and that's where she didn't. She was 50th in Europe. She would have qualified in every single division based on her scores, and she didn't make it, right? So it's not the same path, right? It's a harder path depending on where you live, and that's always going to be the case, right? There's no way from that. So, to answer Maggie's question, she was in Dubai. She's in Iceland right now, um, and but she's living in Bali. So no, she won't be able to do Africa. Um, 100%. Not even a question. So I'll finish answering this question. So we still have to wait for the rule book to come out to see what is defined as your like where you live, like your address and like what your geographical location is. Um, so Asia is open to everyone, just Aaron. So it's open worldwide. So no one will dispute whoever makes it from Mayhem. No, they do, but it's invite only, so they can kinda, they can kinda work it. That can't be said for Africa or Asia. But again, right, this is how it worked for, um, years, was that, like, this was your region and this is where you qualify from, and so, I think we'll always have that because they have to have some form of inclusivity, or then no one from South America, a
Old.
sorry, um Asia or Africa would ever make it, right? And so now, depending on where you sit on that line of inclusivity versus having the best represented, um, you know, uh, that's like where that decision lies. CrossFit wants people from Asia, they want people from Africa, and they want people from South America. Avera's question is, CJ, based on the paths now known to the games, do I think the best athletes will be represented in the games field? 1,000,000%, 100%. I think for sure. I think the online version is gonna be cleaner. I think those 12 are gonna be those 12, and it's programming based, and I think 18 people have the opportunity to do it online or in person, which is amazing, right? You have If you don't make it, you can compete again, which is the biggest thing, and the fact that someone can compete twice means that I think it will be the cleanest and best field that is there, right? Now, depending on, World Fitness Project, and if people don't do it, etc., I think that's a driver as well. Um, Especially because World Fitness Project's first event, I'm pretty sure, is the weekend of the in affiliate semifinal, right? Instagram. And I think that's just a rumor, but I'm pretty sure it was a strong rumor. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say that. I feel like people know. Everyone knows. I don't know shit. I just listen to what John tells me. Um, they don't have any dates. Lame. Um, Signed. Okay. Nothing. All right. No, I think, should anyone qualify for the games via pure online path? Hmm. Um, I would rather it not, but it makes sure that, there is still priority in the open, which I think is still the best and most comprehensive event for the year, right? So, um, I think it's important to have this path if they're not going to host their own in-person semifinal. Um, if they're not going to host their own in-person event, I think this is the best option, right? Because the only way that they can host an in-person event is by hosting them everywhere, right? They can't just host one with 50 people, right? Because it would be unfair for travel. You know what I mean? Right? Um, so I think making them do the open, making them be in the top 1%. And if you want to go the online path and take that risk, then you go. Or if you want to go to the in person path and take that risk, then you go. Or if you want to do both and you want to train a fucking lot and compete a lot, then you go. Right. And so I think that's where um, uh, there's just like a decision that needs to be made. But I just got really fucking cold. Holy smokes. Ugh. Man, it just got really cold in here. Oof. So, yeah, I think this is the only way. If there was no way to qualify online and they just gave it all away, right? And there was no then the open wouldn't matter, right? Because top 1% is very easy for all of these athletes to make, and then there wouldn't be a review process. There would be a lot of faking, etc. In my opinion. So yeah, that's where. Did I just put this over my thing? Sure did. Oh well, that's what we're going with. Anywho, so yeah, I think it's fine. I think doing it this way, the way they're doing it, is the way to do it. I think it's the best way to do it, to make sure that there is some integrity with the judging stuff, right? Limit how many people are actually going to make the attempt, and then go from there, because there's going to be a lot of high level athletes that don't even make that attempt. 12 is it's going to be tough, right? I mean, I think it's the hardest path. I think this will be the hardest path for athletes, which I think will make it really entertaining. Man, what a real one, Avera. CJ got to check out. I only see 20 people watching. What a shame. See, what a fucking shame. That's what I'm talking about. Everyone listen to this guy. Watch it on replay. Watch it live. 6:45 Central Time, Tuesdays and Fridays. And then other times during the week when John and Travis want to come play. See, let's listen. Good day, buddy. All right. So, yeah, I think that's where we're at. I think it's good. All right, let's see. Yeah, I know. I heard Jody. Thanks. Taylor didn't ask me if he could come on at this time. Just kidding. Jonathan, the only event that I will potentially go to would be NCC if Gucci qualified. That would be it. I don't have anyone competing. I'll be at Masters Games, most likely. And yeah, the in-person thing, unless I'm coaching, I got to be making money, and I got to be working, right? With the family and just the way that it is where we're at now, I can't travel for pleasure. But maybe this goes good, and we do like some coverage or something like that. I don't know if I want to do it like that, like spin or whatever. I kind of just enjoy sitting in my office talking shit. So, yeah. So yeah, you go and shoot, right? It's totally different. I can't just go and spend money, right? I got to be able to make some money when I travel. It's not it's a hobby for sure, to like go and support it, but it's not really in the cards for me just to go around, unless I'm getting paid. So maybe one day, maybe we'll have athletes that do it. No, it's all right. I feel like I do a good commentary, but they have their flow. I'm a coach, I'm not a commentator. I just have opinions, and I really enjoy talking about the sport. So, yeah, I gotta be able to refer back to me and my fitness more often to be on John's level. What do you guys think? Um, but yeah. All right. What else is happening in this fucking world, huh? Anything good? Let's see. Mm. Yeah. Slater's late. Slater slept in. Mm-hmm. Unacceptable. I'm still, this is a good pixel or frog rip for your money. I am still a bear complex and RX Mark and RX Smart gear. So, mm, so yeah. So um that's where I'm at. I know a lot of people have Victory and all the other stuff. I just got a little cold, Jody. Okay. I just got a little cold. It's not cold outside, but it was cold in my house. That's it. Okay. All right. I don't need anyone to comment on the fact that I live in Florida. I fucking get it. All right. I get it. I live in Florida. It's not a big deal, but it's been cold. Okay. Yeah. We didn't get any snow. We were supposed to get snow. Um, but it's too warm today. It just warmed up a little bit in front of that, um, whatever fucking thing you guys had. It was nuts. Um, your weather pattern storm, just 8 inches of snow is absolutely crazy in Texas. Yep. What else? Let's see. Anything? Who's Hiller yelling at? Anyone good? Oh yeah, he's yelled at Zach Tellender. That was funny. I feel like I watched another one. Sean goes nuclear. That was good. Um, I don't know. Who's messaging me? Oh. Um, anything good on Instagram? No. Creed? No. My Instagram is full of nothing anymore. Gosh. It's just full of memes. Like it used to have some value. Now it's just like things that I could never post on anywhere publicly ever. Anyways, all right. What else is new? We're gonna do a Wadapalooza show next week. Me, John, and Travis. Maybe Monday. Um, let's see. Pull my ticker down. Man, I have a lot of unread text messages. What is everyone's unread text messages at? Are you like a 1 or 2 or 0 guy, girl, or are you like a 50, 60, 70 person? I'm usually a 0, but since the holidays, it has been like a 50 to 60, just like things just hanging on, you know? Um, I'm at like 40 and I'm never that person. You know, the best way to find them is if you connect your Mac. Mac can like actually pull up this specific unread text message, unlike your phone where you have to swipe it down. I'm usually a 0 for sure. I'm almost always a 0 right now, but there's a lot. And most of it's like fucking like sign up for health insurance. Just like get the fuck out of here. Um, but I was traveling for the last few weeks, and when I travel, I still work, right? I don't really take time off, but I won't have meetings, and I'll sort of reduce communication with my athletes for like a short period of time, but I still have to program, right? I've learned that trying to program out far gives reduces the value of the programming, and or trying to get ahead, and then or doing nothing while I'm gone just like increases the workload when I come back. So I still work there and I'll give comments and stuff. I just won't do a ton of it. So I get up really early. So we go to bed later because I'm spending time with my wife and my family and friends. But then I get up before everybody. So I actually sleep less on vacation than I do at home because I don't work during the day. But when I'm not sleeping or when I am doing so, and I always take third Z to travel. So if you guys are looking for a way to improve your sleep, make sure to scan the QR code to get 15% off third Z. Zero sedatives, Contains 4 all-natural science-backed ingredients that fuel recovery in your brain and body overnight. Collagen, magnesium biglycinate, which is your best form of magnesium to digest to improve sleep, L-theanine, and GABA. Both of them will prime you to sleep deeper and longer. Collagen is what helps rebuild that bone, soft tissue, and strengthen while you sleep. So scan the QR code, 15% off. It's the only way that I'm able to do what I do, get up at 6:45 or 6 a.m. to do this show, a couple days a week. I operate on about 7 hours of sleep. I'd love to get more, but I can't. And this helps me create efficiency with all of that I'm getting. Yeah, man. Well, first, congratulations. Can I give it to the baby for him to sleep 5 months? He's not sleeping very well. So Bennett is 2 years and 3 months now. So he's just over 2. And we had like a 4th trimester. So we had 3 months, 3.5 months of like rough, a lot of like, like to the point that I was kind of like bouncing in my normal daily standing and communication with people because I was rocking him so much. So I've been there, man. Um, uh, Not that you asked for any of my advice. The things that we did was he's still in a slumber pod, which is like a full blackout tent. And we keep him in it pretty much all the time. He naps at school. He doesn't nap super well, but wherever we're going, we do that. Light, a ton of it really, really helps. And we just hammer the schedule, right? We never break it. And it's definitely been a challenge for the last 2 years of life because we never break schedule. He's always sleeping at some point from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Somewhere in there, he's always sleeping. Sometimes we're a little later, but most of the time we're getting there for nap, and he's always down at 7 p.m. Central in some capacity, or we're starting nap time at that point, or bedtime at that point. Schedule, schedule, schedule. Um, you know, that's what helped us. So, I know there's probably a bazillion other things and that work or don't work or you've tried. And so, yeah, I'll pray for you to get some sleep, man. They're tough for sure. It's a grind. Um, but if you guys are looking for the best open program, in my opinion, it's WODprep over there. That way. The other corner of the screen. Scan the QR code, 7-day free trial. Give it a try. Look it up. We'll help you get ready for the open. If you don't want to do the open, shame on you. But hey, not everyone does. We have programs that aren't performance biased. They are just general fitness focused. And so we have everything for you and everything that you're looking for your fitness. So scan the QR code. Just give us a try if you're looking for a new program. Even if you're not, I'd love for anyone here to scan it, hop into WODup, and just look around and give me some feedback here on the show. I'm all for anything. I don't care if you stay. I mean, I would love for you to stay, but if you don't want to, that's totally cool. But I'd love for you guys just to pop in, feedback on the app, feedback on the coaching, on the communication, chalk talks, programming, etc. Any type of feedback, anything that gets you guys in there just to give, just to see what's going on, I'll take. So I would enjoy it. Let's see. Need input. Good question. What questions post Wodapalooza events would you ask athletes? Just general questions. Who's your target market, Jonathan? No, it's not, Aaron. But what I'll do is I'll put the link in. Give me a second. I'll just put the link in the chat. Jonathan, so who are you targeting? Like who's the content going to go to? Because that makes a difference, in my opinion. This one. So I like to ask questions that will relate them back to like normal people, right? Um, and so, um, so here we go. Um, so when we had someone at Rogue, and then Rogue didn't let us do fucking literally anything. Um, uh, we were going to do like if someone won a rope climb event, right? Something like, wow, you really crushed it. Like, what's your secret, you know, behind rope climbs? Like, what's helped you excel in this? Like, what does your training look like? Something like that, that like is maybe digestible and usable by the community, not just like, what was your mindset when you went into the workout? Like, how did you handle, the fact that there was 50 of them or whatever, right? Like, the mindset thing is so played out. I would like to, you know, learn maybe like what they did to prepare. Like, hey, what did you do to prepare for this workout? I know that one's kind of played out, but that can kind of parlay into, you know, this seems to be a strength for you. What has like did you struggle with this movement when you started CrossFit? If so, how did you get good at it? Like what was your approach and your training over the years, right? Something like that that's like relates it back to the people that are actually consuming the information, which is usually scaled low RX athletes that are trying to get better, right? So finding a way to get it back to them. Or what is your advice for athletes who struggle with rope climbs? Or what is your advice for athletes who struggle with muscle ups? What is your best training tip for, cycling the barbell? Like something like that, I think would be valued and more valuable than what was your mindset, you know? And if there's a race, talk about the race, right? Especially if you're interviewing the winner, right? If like a come from behind win, something like that. I think that's fun. Um, Maybe try to get out a little bit of shit talking at some point too, right? Like pull a little trash talk out of them if possible. Um, I think is always fun too. So those would be my two things, like advice for beginners. How did you, like what, or even if it's like not specific, like what movements do you struggle with, or have you struggled with over your career, something like that. um yeah, so the shit talking will obviously go pretty well there, since all three of them talks a lot of shit. um yeah, I mean, I don't think the athlete who you're talking to specifically matters, right? you know but then if you're not just talking to who's winning, right? If they struggled in a workout, right? you know um politely find a way. It's like, I see, this is like a weakness. Like, what have you been doing to try to shore up this weakness um in your uh in your repertoire, right? Like, what does training look like? Or that kind of thing. I think relating it back to um like humanizing them is kind of important if you're going to interview them. Um, so finding there, and then, they all talk a lot of shit. Go that route for sure if it's the brute world. Um, Obviously I don't know if yeah, perfect. How many hours, what does your whoop say? Um, Even just something like, what did your warm up look like for this kind of workout? Like, what was your focuses, in your warm up before the workout? Again, something usable, not just what was what was your plan going into the workout? Because most of them just say the same thing, right? Just watch Nikki and just don't do anything that she did for an interview. Um, Arsenal interviews well. Go back and look at some of um the prompts that he uses. Um, uh, I think that would be beneficial. Right hand, but left hand. That's funny. That's funny. Um, oh, let's see. What else? Mm. Anything else? Mhm. It's a good one, Gus. Well done. Gus, man, I wish I had your memory, right? Your memory is pretty wild, not gonna lie. You remember everything. Super impressive. I don't remember shit. Oh, I'm still on this thing. I should probably. Nope, not that one. There we go. Man, you guys didn't even tell me. Um, I don't remember anything. Jonathan, are you doing this to make a video? Like, are you doing this to like make like a Wadapalooza recap sort of thing? Yo, this California stuff is crazy. Absolutely insane. I gotta show you guys this. Let's look at. We're gonna go to this one. Here we go. Whoops. Uh-oh. There we go. Guys, watch this. This is crazy. Look at this. This is nuts. This is exactly how it feels when I'm trying to sleep. I feel like it's faster than a mower. Yeah, that's crazy. Phew. It's pretty impressive. It's a pretty sharp knife. What do you guys think? He missed the spot. Right back here. Anyways, that's where my head is at right now. Let's see. What else? 16 to 20-second behind the scene stories. Yeah, that's really short. So it's hard to get a lot of good information in that bit. Just try to ask something different, right? Especially if you're doing everybody. Um, yeah, it's pretty specific number. Not 15 seconds. 15 seconds is too short. Um, hmm. Hmm. All right. Cool. Anything else? I don't think so. I think that the hard part with 15 seconds is it's going to take you 5 seconds to ask your question. So, Jonathan, I would say like putting the question on the screen and just showing their answer would be ideal. That'll give you maybe a little more time. Not telling you how to like do a video, but 15 seconds to ask a question and then get a response um, will be really, really um, tough. My thoughts. So, anyhow, um, like putting it on the screen could be pretty good. All right. Enjoy the day, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Slow start. Um, yeah, I agree. Do that. Um, you know, yeah, I mean, just in stories, I think it is important to like grasp them. So, your questions gotta be good, right? Again, like go to Arsenal, think of what it is. And I mean, I think that kind of stuff is going uh uh what was I going to say? I think for 15 seconds in a story, got to get a little drama involved, right? So think about it like that. Get a little, a little drama involved. All right. Adios, guys. I'll see you